Vaunix's BLX-403 programmable synthesized signal generator, small footprint, wide breadth of capabilities, and reasonable cost deliver a versatile and compelling package to support your applications. This Lab Brick synthesized signal generator series combines affordability, functionality, and simplicity to deliver the quality Vaunix is known for. Vaunix offers the BLX-403 with frequencies covering 0.5 GHz up to 40 GHz with 100 Hz frequency resolution, plus 10 dBm output power with a minimum of 40 dB output level control. These signal generators offer advanced features including frequency sweeping, internal and external 10 MHz reference, and standard pulse modulation. The BLX-403 offers both USB and Ethernet interfaces. The USB-C uses a state-of-the-art native HID interface, which helps avoid difficulties with using older serial or IEEE 488 interfaces implemented over USB. This means you can get to work faster without the need to install kernel-level drivers. Lab Brick devices can be easily used on any system that supports USB HID devices. That includes low-cost embedded computers using Linux or other similar operating systems. The Ethernet interface is configurable for static IP or DHCP with the ability to assign the HTTP port for extra security measures. Setting up the device is easy and straightforward. Here we are with the BLX-403 user interface through the web UI. The username, the default username is admin, and the password is also admin. So that gets you into for the username and password. So as currently configured, it's admin and admin. So that's configurable by the user. Next, we have the network settings. The default from the factory is to set it to DHCP. Some users may want to configure it with their static IP address. In this case, you can adjust your IP address, your subnet mask, the gateway, and even the HTTP port for additional security. We will leave this one on DHCP. Here we have the status page. This is the current operating conditions of your BLX-403. It'll give you your output power and your frequency, if you're in pulse mode configuration or if you're doing a sweep, all that information available for review on this status page. Now to configure the device, we go to the RF settings page. And here we have the frequency, which is configurable if you want to set your own frequency. Right now we're set in units of gigahertz. So let's say we want to set 1 GHz. We use the set button. We can also display everything in megahertz, which is often helpful. So now if we want to go to 1500 megahertz, we can set that. You can also use the plus and minus buttons to increase and decrease the frequency. Right now it's set for a step size of 100 Hertz, as you see over here. You can also set this step size to a number of different steps, so from 10 gigahertz to 100 Hertz, or you can set your own custom size if you wanted to set it to 2 megahertz. You can set that, and now every step with the plus and minus arrows would go 2 megahertz. The output power is configurable right here. We can set it to plus 10 dBm. We can choose the set. And here we have arrows that can move your power up and down. Again, this is based on the step size that is set in this window here. So if we want to change that to 1 dB, now our steps go in 1 dB increments. And of course, you can do other and set your own step size if you like. RF output, you can turn that off or you can turn that on right here from this web UI. Now we also have control of the 10 megahertz reference. It defaults to internal 10 megahertz reference, but the user can supply their own 10 megahertz reference to the unit by selecting external here. Pulse modulation is another feature of the BLX-403. And in this window, you can turn on and off your pulse modulation. You can control the pulse width or the on time, as well as the pulse repetition time. So that can be set in units. We can have the units displayed as microseconds, milliseconds, or seconds. If we leave it at microseconds, we can adjust settings. And right now we're set to internal pulse modulation. You can also use your own trigger if you set it to the external pulse modulation. And we can turn this off for the moment. Sweeping. The frequency sweeping configuration is done here. You can do unidirectional or bidirectional sweeps. You can do as a single sweep, or you can have the BLX-403 just do continuous sweeps using the repeat button. Currently it's configured to sweep from 500 megahertz to 40 gigahertz with a step size of 1000 megahertz or 1 gigahertz. The dwell time on each step, it stays at each frequency for 1000 milliseconds or 1 second currently. So if we set this as a repeat, you can see the frequency is stepping as configured down here. Now the user can pause the frequency sweep, so it stops, and then you can resume and it picks right up where it left off. And of course you can stop the frequency sweep at any time. The user can also save settings, so the next time you would power up the BLX-403, it'll come up in this current operating state. Now another nice feature that's unique to the BLX-403 is the sequence configuration. This allows the user to put in a list of frequencies and powers that the BLX will step through. So in this case, we can choose a file, and we have one configured already here called sequence. Now we load that sequence, and it tells us, okay, we've got a sequence of length. It's got 4 different frequencies. You can start on step number 1 or step number 2, whatever you want is configurable, as well as the dwell time, so how long you want it to stay at each step. And you also have configuration of the idle time. This is the time in between repeating sequences. So if we set this sequence to repeat, it's now stepping through the frequencies and the powers that are configured, but we can go look at our status page and see that the frequency and output power is changing according to the file that we loaded. If we go back to sequence settings, we can also pause. So that allows us to stop that sequence at any step. And of course, you're allowed to stop that sequence and go back to configuring the BLX-403. The BLX-403's small form factor and competitive price make this versatile signal generator the compelling choice. The BLX-403 is shipping now. Learn more and order yours today by visiting Vaunix.com to get started. Thanks for watching and have a great day.